phone sounding funny?
No.
It's fine? Okay. That's not echoing. Maybe it's just me. The title of the message is Kindness is Everlasting. And we just want to take a look at what that actually means and kind of destroy all the thoughts that we have that would try to suggest that there was a time when God wasn't kind. Because if all of us think about it, there's things in our lives or things that we've seen or things that we've read in the Bible that can kind of give off the idea or the appearance that there has been a time when God wasn't kind, right? Which would contradict the idea that his kindness is everlasting. So we just kind of want to look at Isaiah 54 and just look at what it says in Isaiah 54 and what the Spirit is revealing there. And we'll just look at his everlasting kindness and just see really that his kindness is without beginning or end. And, you know, what can happen is when we look at scriptures like Isaiah 54, and we can really see the heart of God behind them and what's really going on there. You know, what happens is we can just really begin to know that God, right? And something beautiful happens in our hearts with God. There's an intimacy that develops when we begin to know that God. And when we can see what he was thinking in the Old Testament. We can see what was in his heart behind some of these things in the Old Testament. We can see what some of his thoughts were in some of these verses in the Old Testament. It can just bring forth an intimacy in our heart with him. It can just really, you know, cause us to embrace God as Abba. You know, we just start seeing his kindness is everlasting. I think sometimes human beings think we need all these different kinds of things. You know, but man, I'll tell you what, when you can like be persuaded that his kindness is everlasting, something beautiful happens inside of you. When you see that there's never been any wavering in his kindness towards you, something beautiful happens inside of you. You find yourself going to rest in his arms. You find yourself letting go. You know, like the way a wife would give themselves over completely into their arms of their husband because they become so persuaded in his love for them. When you can see that God's kindness towards you is without beginning or end, that there was never like a detour in God's kindness. When your heart can see that, man, you become like a wife that's just like melting in the arms of her husband, that's just giving herself over completely to her husband, man. And that's what can happen in your heart with God, when you can really see him for who he is. And so we just want to talk about the heart of God in these verses. And